Hello, everyone. This is Jim Oberzinski with your Week 14 lecture video. As I begin this week's lecture video with a look at our timeline over the next few days, discussion board 17 responses are due on Sunday, along with the final draft of your research essay. So just want to remind everybody to upload your link to the assignment in Blackboard. Make sure your final draft is labeled the final draft in your folder, in the research essay folder in our overall drive course folder there. All right. So I've commented and offered feedback on every draft that's been submitted to Blackboard that I could access, I should say, through the drive folder. If you have any questions about my comments, let me know. I've included the link to your reviewed document in the grading section for the first draft assignment, so please should be able to highlight and right click and view that document. So that being said, this week's discussion board is focusing on scrutinizing paragraphs, scrutinizing sentences. So I would like to head over to the, my slide presentation on chapter 5 here. As we finish up chapter 5, Ballinger has preparing the final manuscript section. I urge everyone to look that over and give it a good read. One item I do want to focus on to begin with is where he has a very short paragraph about MLA conventions. Basically, he'll refer you to Appendix A. Now, Appendix A begins right after Chapter 5. It is the MLA guidebook there, so it'll have all the information that you need about citations. It'll have all the information you need about how to format a document for final submission. There's an example at the end of Appendix A. I also have the instructional video and the student example located in the attached to the assignment in Blackboard. So just want to refresh everybody's memory about the MLA guidelines. Every essay needs a title, the proper heading, page numbers need to be sequential and inserted into the document at the upper right-hand corner. Please review your MLA guidelines and examples on how to do that. I know there's an instructional video out on YouTube on how to do that in Google Docs, so I want to make sure everybody takes a look at all the information about MLA guidelines for the final submission. I would take a moment and once again read through the instructions for the final research essay before you upload. Semester is fleeting and time to revise is virtually minimal because on Sunday, when I usually post my weekly screencast video, I will discuss our next project, which is our multimodal project where you regenre your specific research topic. And I'll explain that on Sunday in our weekly screencast video. So be sure to take a look at the MLA requirements, and I want to talk a little bit about proofreading. Ballinger has a great section there about proofreading on the computer and how text can be manipulated when reading on a computer. Sometimes since we wrote those words, looking at a computer just causes us to just glance over words or just skim read and thinking that's proofreading, and that really isn't proofreading. Really taking the time to review your document word by word, looking at the sentence constructions is the way to go about proofreading on a computer. And sometimes that's really hard. You can use Grammarly and other spell check options to help improve your writing. But sometimes the best way to handle this is the old-fashioned way of printing it out on paper and just go through your draft line by line, looking for awkward constructions. Reading it out loud is always a successful strategy. And sometimes just having it on paper just looks different and will alert your eyes. So I just want to emphasize that, right? So he also has 10 common things to avoid, and we all know those confused words, there, and there, where, and where. understand the context and what to use, especially here you have already and already, advice and advise. My favorite is past and past. So the idea here is just double check the context of your words. Sometimes spell check won't pick them up. My favorite example is form and from. Depending upon your context, you're not going to be alerted to it because both words are spelled correctly. The possessives are always an issue. To decide what is a possessive and how to do the singular and the plural version of the possessive, right? So vague pronoun references. I can't stress this enough because it sometimes is a problem when you're referring to people or things. Make sure that you have the noun that your pronoun replaces in the proximity of that pronoun. So be sure you don't overuse the pronoun, but make sure that it's in the relation with your noun, all right, the main noun. Subject verb agreement, make sure the noun is singular, the verb must be singular as well. I struggle with this as a writer. I always have an issue with the is and are, the to be verbs. On that basis, I understand it and I always kind of look at it and double check it for myself. So looking at punctuation of quotations, remember if you have a parenthetical, like here, for example, Mark 99, you want to make sure that the period goes outside the parenthetical, not inside here, inside the quotation mark. You want to make sure it goes outside. If, for example, you do not have a parenthetical, you're just closing off the quote, that's fine. Then the period always moves inside the quotation mark, right? Colons and semicolons belong outside, and block quotes don't need quotation marks. I haven't seen any block quotes in any of the drafts, so I'm not going to spend a bit of time on this one. Commas, remember, a comma segments a sentence, but it doesn't serve as a boundary marker. So remember to subordinate and coordinate. Too many commas lead to comma splices, so you want to make sure that your sentences don't run on and just simply use commas, where a coordinating conjunction like one of the fanboys would be best to put the two parts of your sentence together. The parentheticals, of course, there is no comma between the name and the page number. It's just a space. And make sure that when you use names of people in your essay, that you use first and last names. You never use a first name only. You want to make sure that you have some proper capitalization. If you're unsure what a proper noun is or capitalizing the letter I, it's important to understand that proper capitalization is mandated here. All right. So the idea is if you're unsure about how in a context, you can use Grammarly. Look it up on Google and make sure that those first person references I's are capitalized. This has been a semester long project. And I want to make sure that the essay is just equal to the effort that's been put in through the annotated bibliography, between the double entry, first draft, peer reviews, a lot of great peer reviews, and a lot of great discussion board activity out there and working on those steps to be successful for your research essay. All right, that's all I have for this week's lecture video. If you have any questions or issues, you know where to find me. Good luck.